Chapter 12, Lesson 1 on three-dimensional figures. First thing we're going to look at is a plane. And a plane is a two-dimensional flat surface that extends in all directions. So planes are kind of the very building block of our 3D shapes. And planes, if you notice, are always labeled with a capital letter, usually in the corner. And we would just call this plane M. Usually it's a capital cursive letter is what we see. Okay, how planes intersect with one another. So when two planes intersect, three different things can happen. One thing is that they can intersect in a line. Okay, and you can think about like a floor and a wall. They intersect in a line. Another way that they can intersect is if three of them are intersecting, they can intersect in a point. So think about what happens when the wall and another wall and the ceiling all intersect. They intersect at one certain point. And then sometimes there is no intersection. And so if we think about like the floor and ceiling, they are parallel and they're never going to intersect each other. The next thing we're going to look at is definition of a solid and a polyhedron. So a solid is just a three-dimensional figure that's formed by intersecting planes, and the three dimensions that it has are length, width, and depth. Some of these solids are going to be what we call a polyhedron. And what a polyhedron is, kind of sounds like polygon, is it's just a solid, a 3D shape, and with the flat sides that are polygons. So every side of it has to be a polygon. And polyhedrons then have certain things that we look at. They have things called edges, and that's where two planes intersect. So again, think about a line. They have faces, which are just the planes, the flat surfaces. And then they have vertices, or one is called a vertex. And a vertex is where three or more planes intersect at a point. So again, think about that wall, and ceiling. Okay, so if I look at a 3D shape, something like here, this line would be an edge. A flat surface, this side over here would be a face. And then this point right here would be a vertex. Okay. Certain kinds of polyhedrons have different names. The first one we're going to look at that we're going to study about is a prism. And a prism is just a polyhedron with two parallel congruent faces that are called bases, and they have to be polygons. So we have two polygons that are exactly the same, and they form our two bases, kind of like a top and a bottom, and then they're connected with polygons on the other side. Okay? A base is then the flat surface that a solid lies on. So some things have two bases, some have one. Sometimes the bases, it's not actually lying on the base, but if we turn it, we can lie it on its base. We're also going to look at pyramids, and pyramids are similar to a prism, but they only have one base, and that one base has to be some sort of a polygon. And then it comes up and it meets at a vertex at the top. Okay, so let's talk about these four different types of polyhedrons. We can have a triangular prism. So if you look at the figure down here below, this triangular prism has a triangle down here at the bottom and a triangle here at the top. Now my drawing's not super accurate, but those triangles would be congruent polygons. They're exactly the same. And so we would say that that figure, that polyhedron, has two bases, and the polygon base is a triangle. All right, the polygon that's at the top and bottom are both triangles. If you notice, there's all rectangles on this side, and that's true for any prism. A rectangular prism then also has two bases, the top and bottom, and its polygon base is a rectangle. Now that can also include a cube, because remember, a square is also a rectangle. Okay, we can also have a triangular pyramid, and a pyramid has one base, and that polygon base in a triangular pyramid will be a triangle. So if you notice down here, the base is a triangle, and it all meets together up at one point at that vertex. A rectangular pyramid has also one base, but the base is a rectangle. So if you notice down here, the base looks maybe like a square, but remember, square's a rectangle, and it all comes together up at one vertex at the top. Okay, and we're going to look at a couple other solids. These are not polyhedrons because they have circles in them, which are not polygons. So a cylinder is just a three-dimensional figure with congruent parallel bases. So it sounds like a prism, but it's not, because its bases are circles that are connected with a curved side. And that curved side, if we pull it out, is going to form a rectangle. Okay? A cone is similar to a pyramid, but again, it's not because the base is a circle. It's not a polygon. And it has one circular base, and it has a vertex that's connected by a curved side. Look at an example. If I was asked to identify this figure and then name the bases, the faces, the edges, and the vertices, I would say, all right, well, let me look. I notice that there's a point here at the top, right? So it must be some sort of a prism or a cone. And the base is a rectangle. So this is a rectangular pyramid. Okay? And then if I'm going to go through and I'm going to identify those different parts of it, I'm going to say, all right, well, let's talk about the bases first. Well, a pyramid only has one base. So the base of the pyramid, I'm just going to name it by the letters. It's a rectangle, and so I'm going to name it by those 4 letters. So the base, you can name them in any order as long as you go around the rectangle. HLJI would be the base of that rectangular pyramid. Then I'm going to name the faces. So if I think about this pyramid, I've already named the base, which is also one of the faces. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down, HLJI. And the rectangular pyramid has that one face on the bottom and then 4 faces that go around it. So the other faces are all triangles, I noticed. So I'm going to name them. I'm going to look at this front one here, and I'm going to name it HKI. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to name now this one over here on the right. And so that is going to be KIJ. Again, the order of your letters don't matter. Now I'm going to go to the back triangle, LKJ. And then over on the left side, I have HKL. Okay, so those are the faces of my pyramid. And now I'm going to name the edges. So edges are going to be line segments. So I'm going to start with the edges that are on my base. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 edges that are along my base, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 that are going to go up to my vertex. So my edges would be HI, IJ, JL, LH. Those go around the base. And then I have HK, IK, JK, and LK. Those are my edges. And then the vertices, remember that's just plural for vertex, are just all the points. So I have 5 vertices. I have vertex H, vertex I, vertex J, vertex K, and vertex L. One more definition we're going to get in your notes, and we're going to look at this a little bit more in class, is just get the definition down for a cross-section. A cross-section is just when we think about the intersection of a figure, like a 3D figure, and a plane. So if we kind of cut a plane through one of our 3D figures, we want to think about what figure would that be where they connect, right? The intersection of the figure and the plane.